Welcome to another recent crime news episode with me, Tamsin Leigh. Don't forget to like and subscribe to see the latest crime news and deep dive episodes. Also check out my Patreon page to stay up to date with the latest happenings with the show. A Colorado man who identified himself as a gang leader named Psycho pled guilty to murdering 5 people whose remains were found in 2020 and has received 5 life sentences. 29-year-old Adre Baroz pleaded guilty to 5 counts each of first-degree murder and tampering with a deceased human body, along with assault and kidnapping charges. He was accused of planning the murders over 7 weeks, dismembering the victims and burning their remains in pits. According to the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, Baroz was arrested in November 2020 after the remains of 3 of the victims were discovered on 2 rural properties in Colorado. According to the criminal complaint, he was charged in connection to the killings of 5 people identified as Myron Martinez, Shayla Hamill, Celine Escabel, Xavier Zevin Garcia, and Corina Arroyo. The first victim was 19-year-old Celine Escabel, whom Baroz believed was spreading rumors about being raped by him. He reportedly shot and killed Escabel in a yard, and she fell into a hole in the ground. He and gang members allegedly burned her body, then filled the hole with a tractor. Next, Xavier Zevin Garcia was allegedly murdered by Baroz after asking for money for burying Escabel's body. Then, 32-year-old Corina was killed by Baroz because she was scheduled to testify against him in a drug trial. Myron Martinez was killed while purchasing drugs from Baroz, and his girlfriend Shayla Hamill, who was waiting in the car, was killed by Baroz's brother. Investigators were able to identify some of the victims by using teeth that were discovered in the burn pits. They also found blood in the bathtub drain of a hotel room where one of the male victims was allegedly dismembered. Garcia's body has yet to be found. On May 3rd, Adre Baroz was sentenced to consecutive life sentences and an additional 140 years in prison. 3 other men called loyal members of the gang, including Baroz's brother, pleaded guilty to charges in connection with the deaths and have been sentenced. 34-year-old Julius Anthony Baroz, Adre's brother, pled guilty to conspiracy to commit first-degree murder and was sentenced to 25 years in prison, and received a credit for more than 1,200 days served. 41-year-old Francisco Ramirez pled guilty to 3 counts of tampering with a deceased body and received 24 years in prison. CJ Dominguez pled guilty to tampering with a deceased human body and was sentenced to 12 years in prison. A couple from Thibodaux, Louisiana, have been arrested after allegedly setting the woman's 15-year-old daughter on fire, shooting her twice, and driving approximately 300 miles from Louisiana to Texas with the injured girl in the back seat. 40-year-old LaTonya Harris and 41-year-old Terrence Washington are charged with attempted first-degree murder and cruelty to a child. The Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office stated that Washington was also charged with indecent behavior with a child, molestation, and second-degree rape. Authorities started their investigation around 11 p.m. on April 20th when LaTonya Harris, Terrence Washington, the 15-year-old, and another child were in a car accident. Police received complaints that the vehicle was driving recklessly on Interstate 10 before crashing on a service road. A press release stated that when officers arrived at the scene, they found Washington holding a gun and the 15-year-old badly burned, shot multiple times, but still clinging to life. The press release also stated that the Baytown Police Department alerted the Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office that Washington and Harris committed serious crimes in their jurisdiction. Officers stated that when the 15-year-old victim arrived at a Houston hospital, doctors noticed gunshot wounds to the girl's face and chest. They also noticed burns to her upper body. In an interview with officers, Washington reportedly admitted to shooting the victim during an argument with Harris at their home in Thibodaux, Louisiana. He also allegedly admitted to sexually abusing the girl for several months. Washington also claimed the victim was burned in February and that her mother was handling her care instead of taking her to a doctor. Investigators interviewed the 10-year-old child who was in the vehicle with Harris and Washington during the crash. She told detectives that she woke up during the Mardi Gras season to see LaTonya standing over the victim's bed, holding rubbing alcohol and a lighter. The child also told investigators that the victim was shot on 2 different days and was left untreated while the family traveled to Texas. The 10-year-old was then transported back to Louisiana by a family member. Authorities obtained a search warrant to search the family's home. Deputies stated during the search, detectives discovered evidence to confirm that a weapon was shot inside the home. And in addition to blood evidence, the strong odor of infection and decomposing flesh could be smelled. During a second interview with deputies with the Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office, Washington admitted the shooting happened on April 19th, claiming that the gun he was holding went off, shooting the victim in the face. Deputies also stated that Washington claimed that Harris burned her teenage daughter after learning about the sexual abuse. He told investigators that Harris blamed her daughter for the sexual encounters. He also confirmed again that Harris treated the teenager's burns at home and did not seek medical attention. On May 9th, LaTonya Harris was released from a hospital and subsequently arrested before returning to Terrebonne Parish. She was brought in for questioning but refused to speak with investigators. She faces charges of attempted second-degree murder, cruelty to a juvenile, and domestic abuse battery, child endangerment. Harris is being held in the Terrebonne Parish Criminal Justice Complex on a $1 million bond. Terrence Washington remains jailed in Texas, and an arrest warrant has been issued. He will be transported back to Louisiana, where he faces charges of 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder, second-degree cruelty to a juvenile, 3 counts of indecent behavior with a juvenile, and 5 counts of second-degree rape. Sheriff Tim Saunay stated about the case, "This is the type of case that is not only difficult to deal with the circumstances, but hard to imagine the level of violence and evil that can occur at the hands of a human being. I can't begin to express how grateful I am to have these extremely violent offenders in custody and off of our streets." A man in Tennessee has been charged with the murder of his girlfriend, Briana Winston, after she reportedly confronted him about being married to another woman. His wife also faces charges for allegedly assisting in burning his secret girlfriend's body. Clayton County Police stated during a press conference on May 13th that 23-year-old Michale Edwards received a murder charge. Authorities furthered that Edwards' mother, Ebony Anderson, his 18-year-old brother, Kaylin Wright, and wife, Briana Phillips Edwards, are all facing criminal charges linked to Briana Winston's disappearance. Authorities speculate that on March 17th, 23-year-old Briana Winston and Edwards had an argument over his alleged infidelity before she was choked to death by her married boyfriend, who is the father of her 4-year-old son. Lieutenant Ashanti Marbury stated that Edwards then stuffed Briana's body into a suitcase and drove to a friend's house in Gates, Tennessee, which is approximately 430 miles away. While at the residence, Edwards and the friend reportedly burned the body in a barrel. Investigators stated that the friend confessed the crime to them under the promise of being given immunity. He continued that he and Edwards discarded Brianna's remains at 2 separate locations. Michale Edwards was taken into custody on April 8th for an unrelated allegation of aggravated stalking. Allegedly, while behind bars, he discovered that he was a suspect in Briana Winston's death. Then he called on his family to help him conceal his identity. Lieutenant Marbury stated, "It turned into a family affair. He definitely looped everyone into this crime." Edwards was caught begging his wife to burn the gloves and shoes he had worn while disposing of his girlfriend's body. Brianna Phillips Edwards, whom authorities claim Edwards secretly married in January 2024, now faces many charges, including being party to a crime, giving a false statement, and conspiracy to commit a crime. Authorities at the press conference also revealed that Phillips Edwards enlisted the help of Edwards' mother and brother to burn the incriminating evidence. Both are now accused of conspiring to commit a crime. Philip Edwards has a preliminary hearing on June 5th and a bond hearing on June 7th. What are your thoughts on these cases? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to see the latest crime news and deep dive episodes. Also, check out my Patreon page to stay up to date with the latest happenings with the show. Thank you for listening and your support. Stay safe, and I will see you for the next episode. Bye.